Right now, we see Kasana completely unable to move. She lies on the ground, her body weak and powerless. Lin Tian walks toward the princess, looking down at her with a confident smirk. He then thinks, explaining that the fluids from a goblin's body have a special effect on females. These fluids can paralyze and excite them at the same time. This strange ability gives goblins a big advantage when fighting against elves. The elves live in a matriarchal society where women hold power. Because of this, goblins need every advantage they can get. Kasana, even though she is weak, is filled with rage. She glares at Lin Tian, her eyes burning with anger. With a trembling voice, she demands to know how such filthy creatures dare to capture her. She cannot believe that goblins would even think about attacking the elven tribe. Her pride as a princess will not allow her to accept this situation. Trying to keep her composure, Kasana tells Lin Tian that without the mercy of the elven matriarch, the goblins would have already been wiped out. She warns him that if they harm her, her mother will never forgive them. She speaks with confidence, believing that her tribe is still stronger than the goblins. But Lin Tian only laughs. He is not afraid of Kasana's words. Instead, he finds them amusing. With a smirk on his face, he mocks the princess. Then, without hesitation, he throws Kasana to the ground. Lin Tian tells her that it is interesting how she speaks of mercy. He doubts that the elves have ever truly been merciful to goblins. He tells her that her words do not match what her soldiers have said. Her soldiers might be stupid, but they are not liars. The boy's sharp eyes study her reaction. At this moment, Lin Tian makes a bold statement. He tells Kasana that her tribe could have completely exterminated the goblins long ago. However, there are still many goblins alive in the forest. He believes this is not because of mercy, but because of something else. He looks at the princess, his confidence growing even stronger. Then, he makes an announcement. Lin Tian declares that there is no need for Kasana to say anything else. He has already made up his mind. Tonight, he will lead the goblin tribe to the elves. He will uncover the truth himself. His words send a wave of fear through Kasana, but she remains silent. Then Lin Tian turns to the goblin soldiers. He gives them an order. He tells them that the two prisoners who were already defeated should be divided among them. They can devour them to gain their abilities. The goblins cheer in excitement. Now Lin Tian turns his attention back to Kasana. He looks at the weak and helpless princess, and then he tells her what he plans to do with her next. Kasana's eyes widen in horror. She begins to panic. Desperate, she begs for mercy. But Lin Tian does not listen. Kasana will be the next one to be taken by the future goblin god. After Lin Tian is done with Kasana, his stats increase. His abilities become stronger, giving him new skills. He is slowly becoming more powerful. Meanwhile, back at the elven tribe, the elven matriarch sits on her bed, looking completely unsatisfied. Her subjects kneel before her, exhausted. They tell her that they can no longer satisfy her because they have run out of the special tonic. The queen, however, is not pleased. Annoyed, the mischievous queen speaks. She tells them that they should have captured more goblins last time they went hunting. After that, she asks one of the elves about her daughter, Kasana. The elf quickly informs her that Kasana has not yet returned. The same soldier then speaks again. He asks the matriarch if she wants them to go search for the princess. He also suggests that they take this opportunity to finish off some goblins. By doing so, they can increase their warriors' levels. The matriarch listens carefully. She nods in agreement. She decides that she will send some soldiers to support Kasana against the goblins. But before she can give the order, something happens. Suddenly, a voice echoes. Kasana will not be returning. The queen's heart stops for a moment. Fear flashes in her eyes. She demands to know what is happening. Suddenly, in the darkness, an arrow flies through the air. It heads straight for the queen. One of her soldiers tries to block it, but the arrow pierces his forehead. Blood spills as he falls to the ground. The queen gasps in horror. Before she can react, another arrow is fired. But this time, the queen catches it just in time. She looks up and sees a figure standing in the shadows. It is Lin Tian. He steps forward. He is not alone. His loyal goblin soldiers stand behind him. He looks at the queen and speaks. He tells her that he has captured her daughter. Then with a mocking tone, he adds that Kasana will soon bear his children. Hearing this, the queen's face turns pale. Lin Tian smirks and tells her that now they will be family. His words make the queen furious. The matriarch grabs a sword, her hands shaking with anger. She tells Lin Tian that she will kill him for what he has done. She rushes toward him, ready to strike, but Lin Tian is fast. He easily dodges her attack. He then speaks again, telling her that the elf tribe is already surrounded. He warns her that if she surrenders now, she might be treated well. Before the queen can respond, her body suddenly feels weak. She realizes that something is wrong. Her movements slow down and she struggles to stay standing. Lin Tian smirks and tells her what is happening. The arrow that almost hit her was coated with goblin poison. This poison paralyzes elves. Lin Tian advises her to stay still. At that moment, the queen realizes she has been defeated. She cannot believe it. She, the powerful matriarch, has been captured so easily. Lin Tian then speaks again. He tells her that he overheard her talking about upgrade tools and excitement tonics. Now, he knows the truth. The elves were using goblins for their own benefit. Outside, screams fill the air. The elves are crying for help. They beg their mother to save them. The queen looks out the window and sees goblins attacking her village. Lin Tian turns to the queen. He tells her that time is running out. She must decide what to do. The queen's hands shake. She cannot believe this is happening. Lin Tian tells her that when her tribe was strong, they killed goblins without mercy. Now that the goblins are strong, they are taking their revenge. Finally, the queen breaks. She kneels before Lin Tian. With tears in her eyes, she begs for mercy. She promises to let the elven women bear goblin children, and with that, the queen surrenders completely. Now, inside the village of the little monsters, Kasana sits on the ground, devastated. She cannot believe what she is seeing. Her mother, the powerful queen of the elves, has also been captured by the goblins. This is a nightmare she never thought possible. She stares at her mother, her face full of shock and despair. The queen looks at her daughter with sadness in her eyes. She lets out a heavy sigh and apologizes. She admits that she never believed something like this could happen. She had always thought the elves were too strong to be defeated by goblins. But now, she understands that she was wrong. At that moment, the matriarch speaks again. She tells Kasana that from now on, they must focus on survival. She explains that when a war happens, only the women and the defenseless children are left behind to keep the elf lineage alive. The queen then tells her daughter something even more shocking. All the elf women have already been taken by the goblins. She reaches out to her daughter and speaks softly, trying to comfort her. She tells Kasana that they have no choice now. Their only way to survive is to stay within the goblin tribe. They must accept their new reality, no matter how painful it is. Lin Tian listens to their conversation with a calm expression. He is not interested in their sorrow. Instead, he speaks in a firm voice. He tells the queen and Kasana that he will take care of everyone. He promises to give them 3 meals a day. However, he also warns them. If anyone tries to betray him or act against the goblins, he will not hesitate to be cruel. If necessary, he will finish them off without mercy. The queen closes her eyes and takes a deep breath. She knows she has no power to resist. For the sake of her people, she must accept this situation. She nods her head. and tells Lin Tian that she understands. A moment later, the queen looks at Lin Tian with a serious expression. She says that she has a request. All the elves in the village are her children. She asks Lin Tian if she can take care of them. Just then, Yu appears, struggling to take care of the elf and goblin children. The number of babies is growing too quickly. Lin Tian watches the scene and realizes something. The queen is behaving this way because of a special trait that elves have, an infinite amount of maternal love. She cannot abandon her people, no matter what happens. Lin Tian understands this and decides to grant the matriarch's request. He allows her to take care of the elf children. He knows that in the future, these babies will bring great strength to the goblin tribe. Now Lin Tian turns his attention to his system. He opens it and starts analyzing his status. He wonders if his qualifications have reached their highest level. Recently, all the values he obtained were converted into attributes. He thinks deeply and comes to a conclusion. His power will continue to grow as long as he keeps having children. Half a month later, Lin Tian looks around his tribe. Everything is going exactly as he planned. His strength is increasing, and soon he will be ready to face Loader. He watches as more elf babies are born. Their appearance is a mix of goblin and elf. However, not everything is going smoothly. The elf women feel disgusted after giving birth. They cry out in horror, begging for the monstrous-looking babies to be taken away from them. They refuse to accept them as their own children. Lin Tian ignores their cries. He turns to Yue and asks her how many babies have been born so far. Yu quickly responds, saying that the number is between 30 and 40. At that moment, Kasana appears. She is desperate, her face pale, and she is in great pain. Lin Tian realizes something. She is about to give birth to his child. Lin Tian immediately moves toward her. She is screaming in agony, unable to bear the pain. The queen kneels beside her daughter, trying to help. Tears fill her eyes as she begs Kasana not to give up. The queen turns to Lin Tian. She pleads with him to help Kasana give birth. She reminds him that this is the princess's first time having a child. Lin Tian, feeling a mix of concern and duty, calls Yue. He tells her to open Kasana's leg so that he can help. The queen watches in shock. She asks Lin Tian if he really knows how to deliver a baby. He calmly responds that he knows enough, but Kasana does not trust him. She shakes her head, her face filled with pain and hatred. She cries out, saying she does not want Lin Tian to touch her. Lin Tian's expression darkens. He is irritated by her resistance. With a cold voice, he orders her to be quiet. He reminds her that the child is his as well. Finally, Lin Tian helps deliver the baby. He lifts the newborn and announces that the princess is fine. The queen lets out a sigh of relief, holding her daughter's hand. Afterward, Yu smiles at Lin Tian and praises him for saving Kasana's life, but Lin Tian shrugs. He says it was no big deal. Then suddenly, loud screams fill the air. The sound comes from another part of the village. Lin Tian turns his head toward the noise. He sees a group of goblins gathered around a cage. Inside, an elf woman is crying for help. She has just given birth. The goblins around her are acting wild, trying to take her by force. Lin Tian's expression hardens. He grabs his dagger and quickly moves toward the cage. The queen follows behind him, watching closely. Lin Tian steps forward and orders the goblins to stop immediately. His voice is strong and commanding. He tells them that they must wait until the elf women fully recover. If they do not listen, they will face the consequences. Then Lin Tian makes a decision. From now on, each elf woman will receive an extra portion of fruit every day. This will help them regain their strength faster. The queen watches Lin Tian in silence. She is impressed by his actions. She looks at him and admits that he is different from common goblins. Lin Tian looks back at her and responds. He tells her that if the elves behave well, they will be treated well. Later, Lin Tian uses his system to run a simulation. He wants to see how his revenge plan will unfold. The system gives him three options. He analyzes each one carefully. One option is to attack Loader alone. Lin Tian tests this option in the simulation. However, things do not go as planned. He almost defeats Loader, but then a powerful human swordsman appears. This warrior is too strong, and Lin Tian is killed. Lin Tian is shocked by this result. He realizes that he must be more careful. Thinking quickly, Lin Tian decides he needs to visit human territory. He tells Yue that he will be gone for a few days. She will be in charge while he is away. The queen looks at him with concern. She warns him that he could be killed. But then, something unexpected happens. The queen offers to help. She tells Lin Tian that she can cast a stealth spell on him. Lin Tian smiles. This is exactly what he was hoping for. He thanks the queen for her help. As he prepares to leave, Yue stands beside the queen. She promises Lin Tian that she will take good care of the tribe while he is gone. In Bright City, the streets are full of people walking calmly while soldiers patrol the area, ensuring the city's safety. Lin Tian watches the scene closely, his eyes scanning the soldiers. The number of guards seems unusual, and he starts to wonder if the Sword Saint has already arrived. However, after thinking about it, he recalls that he spent the entire day gathering information and heard no news about her. As he watches the soldiers, Lin Tian feels that something is not quite right. He wonders why the city is being guarded so heavily, especially since no news about the Sword Saint had reached him. Something about this feels off. Suddenly, Lin Tian notices a group of people heading in the same direction. Curious, he decides to follow them. They lead him to a large crowd gathered around a board displaying the ranking of adventurer teams in Bright City. The board shows names, ranks, and information about various teams. Lin Tian's eyes quickly scan the list, and his gaze freezes when he sees the name at the top of the leaderboard, Loader. The team leader is ranked first, which catches Lin Tian off guard. He wonders if Loader's strength has increased enough to reach this position. Lin Tian's thoughts are interrupted by a sense of urgency. He realizes that time is running out, and if he doesn't gather more clues soon, his entire plan for revenge could fail. With that in mind, he moves quickly through the streets, trying to find more useful information. As he walks past a tavern, Lin Tian hears a voice from inside. Someone inside is offering to buy drinks for everyone, saying they will drink until they can't anymore. Something about the voice catches Lin Tian's attention, and he stops in his tracks. He recognizes the voice instantly. It's Loader. A small smile crosses Lin Tian's face as he realizes he's finally found his target. Lin Tian enters the tavern and finds Loader sitting at a table, drinking. One of Loader's companions begins to praise him for saving them from the four-armed monkey, along with Ephraia, another member of their team. The man emphasizes how incredible Loader is, bragging about his heroism, but one of the members of the Bashi team interrupts. He laughs at the praise and calls it ridiculous, pointing out that defeating a weak monster isn't a big deal. Furious, Loader's companion orders the Bashi member to leave and stop talking nonsense. The argument quickly escalates, but the tavern owner cuts in. He mentions that dragons have entered their mating season and have been capturing livestock. If the adventurers are truly as strong as they claim to be, they should stop the dragons before they cause more damage. This catches Lin Tian's attention. He's listening closely now, knowing that the information about the dragons could be important. The tavern owner continues, explaining that if the dragons attack Bright City and the capital doesn't send reinforcements in time, the adventurers might not be able to defend the city. Everyone would be facing certain doom. Loader, hearing this, confidently declares that there is nothing to fear. He claims that he personally called upon his master, the Sword Saint, and together they will defeat the dragons. The other warriors in the tavern are stunned. They cannot believe how much influence Loder has with such a powerful person. Euphoric with the information, the soldiers begin to praise Loder. They say that if they succeed, he will be named the hero of Bright City. Loder stands up, pleased with the attention, and announces that he will buy drinks for everyone as a pre-celebration for the arrival of the Sword Saint and their victory over the dragons. Lin Tian hears enough. This is the opportunity he's been waiting for. He now has a plan to strike at his enemies by using the dragon threat as a cover for his own goals. With that in mind, he quietly leaves the tavern, his mind already working on the next steps. As he walks out, Loder notices him leaving and calls out, offering to pay for all the drinks. He asks Lin Tian if he won't stay and celebrate with them. Lin Tian, cold and calculating as always, simply replies that he won't stay. He tells Loder that there will be more opportunities in the future. Loder finds it strange that someone would refuse free drinks, but he doesn't pursue the matter further. The streets of Bright City are now decorated in preparation for the arrival of the Sword Saint. There are banners and decorations everywhere, and the mood is celebratory. Lin Tian's eyes narrow as he walks through the city. He knows that the calm before the storm is only temporary, and he must be ready. Meanwhile, Loder is seen approaching his master, the Sword Saint, in a temple. The captain of the adventurer team informs her that the evil dragon is getting closer to the city and will likely attack soon. The Sword Saint stands up, preparing for the battle. She is calm and composed, but her eyes show a hint of urgency. The Sword Saint asks Loder how the task she gave him is going. Loder replies that the 10 dragon hunting beasts were made according to her plans, and everything is ready. The Sword Saint warns him that if anything goes wrong, it will be his reputation on the line. As Loder and the Sword Saint leave the temple, they are greeted by a crowd of people who are amazed by the sight of the powerful warrior. The Sword Saint, however, remains focused. She looks at Loder and tells him that this is a special moment. She asks him why everyone is standing around and tells him to prepare for battle. At that moment, as predicted, something approaches Bright City. A huge flying beast appears in the sky, holding a resident in its claws. The crowd panics, running in all directions. The Sword Saint calmly informs everyone that it is a scout dragon. She then tells Loder that the appearance of the scout dragon will soon attract the entire horde. She orders him to take his companions and follow her to the city walls. The battle is about to begin. Meanwhile, Lin Tian is sitting back, observing everything from a distance. A goblin approaches him, informing him that a dragon has arrived in the city. The little monster says that there are many soldiers on the walls, preparing for the battle. Lin Tian's expression remains cold and calculating. He tells the goblin that the time to strike is almost here. However, he decides to wait for the right moment. With his high-level goblins by his side, he simply says, "It's time to enjoy the show." At that moment, several dragons soar through the sky, heading straight toward Bright City. The people below stare in fear, but before they can react, a sudden beam of light strikes one of the dragons directly on the wing. Loder and Ephraia watch in shock, amazed by the power of the weapon. The Sword Saint, who had just made the shot, turns to the soldiers, asking if they understand how to use the dragon-slaying crossbow. The soldiers, now ready for battle, prepare to attack the dragons with their new weapons. One by one, the flying beasts are struck down from the sky, and the warriors cheer. They are impressed with how efficient the crossbows are against the dragons. However, just as they celebrate, something unexpected catches everyone's attention. A powerful presence is approaching Bright City, and the people in the streets fall to the ground, clutching their heads in pain. Loder and Ephraia look terrified. They seem to know exactly what kind of monster is coming. The sky darkens, and there it is, the purple golden dragon mother. The soldiers stand frozen in shock. They know that these crossbows won't be enough to defeat such a creature. The dragon mother lands with a furious roar, its eyes fixed on the city. The immense beast prepares to unleash a powerful attack. A blast of fire shoots toward the city wall, and the soldiers scramble to defend themselves. The dragon's attack is so powerful that it seems like it could destroy everything. The soldiers, using their dragon-slaying crossbows, begin to retreat, knowing the city will fall if they stay. But something unexpected happens. A massive magical circle appears in the sky, and a voice orders everyone not to panic. It is the Sword Saint. She steps forward, declaring that she will fight the Dragon Mother herself. She orders the soldiers to continue defending the city. Surprisingly, the Sword Saint uses her magic to create a huge protective field around the city. The barrier not only blocks the Dragon Mother's attack, but also prevents the other dragons from getting close to the walls. The soldiers watch in awe as the Sword Saint displays her incredible power. Meanwhile, Lin Tian, cautiously waiting for the right moment to strike, watches the battle from the top of a mountain. He's not surprised that the Sword Saint was able to defend the city. Her power is immense, and her stats confirm that. However, he can't help but admire the strength of the Dragon Mother. She is a truly fearsome opponent. Lin Tian takes a moment to examine the Sword Saint's stats. He realizes that she was able to block the Dragon Mother's attack so easily because of her powerful abilities. He also notes that while the Dragon Mother is strong, she has less endurance than the Sword Saint. Lin Tian understands that, although the Sword Saint was able to strike the dragon, defeating her will not be easy. Seeing that the Sword Saint is occupied with the battle, Lin Tian knows that this is the golden opportunity he's been waiting for. He tells his goblins to follow the plan to infiltrate the city, while the capital is distracted by the dragon attacks. They must strike now, while the humans are too busy defending the city from the dragons to notice. At the same time, Loder and his companions continue to fight the dragons. Loder is confident, thanks to the teachings of his master, the Sword Saint. He proudly claims that he is now a dragon slayer. But his pride is soon shattered when a resident runs into the city, shouting that the goblins are attacking. Loder is caught off guard. He never expected the goblins to invade the capital. He assumes that they are too foolish to attack a city while it is being invaded by dragons. However, to his surprise, another resident arrives, running frantically, with several goblins chasing her. Seeing the goblins, Loder realizes that his worst fears are coming true. He acts like the hero he thinks he is, ordering his companions to deal with the remaining dragons, while he and Ephraia handle the goblins. The two head toward the invaders. However, the goblins have planned for this. They know exactly what they are doing. A little monster spots the heroes coming toward him and immediately starts running away. Loder yells at the goblins to stop running, but it's clear that they have no intention of facing him head-on. They plan this retreat. As Loder and Ephraia chase the fleeing goblins, they are suddenly captured. Lin Tian's plan is working perfectly. The little monsters quickly surround Loder and Ephraia, cutting off their escape. At this moment, the captain's companions attempt to rescue them, but they are blocked by the sheer number of goblins. Lin Tian appears in the middle of the battle, moving quickly and unnoticed by most. Loder tries to warn his warriors of the danger approaching, but it's too late. Lin Tian is faster and more skilled than the humans expected. He swiftly takes out Loder's companions with his super sharp dagger, finishing them off before they can react. Loder and the Sword Saint stand in disbelief, watching their companions fall. They are left in despair, as they realize how easily they were captured. Lin Tian approaches them, his expression mocking and cold. He can't believe how easily they were caught. Furious, Loder yells that he will kill all the filthy goblins, but Lin Tian interrupts him. He kicks the captain, telling him to take a better look around before talking. Lin Tian orders the goblins to take Loder and Ephraia through the sewers and out of the city. Meanwhile, the rest of the goblins will head to the walls to destroy the crossbowmen who are still fighting the dragons. While the battle rages on, the Sword Saint hears cries for help coming from the capital. She is shocked to realize that the goblins are attacking the city. She can't believe that her students, who she thought were under control, would betray her. As the Dragon Mother continues her assault on the city, a voice echoes through the battlefield. The immense and dark beast mocks the Sword Saint, saying that they are in trouble. At that moment, the battle between the Mother Dragon and the Sword Saint is fierce. The Sword Saint shows off her great power, mocking the Queen of the Beasts. She asks if she's having trouble, but she answers coldly, dominating the battle. The Sword Saint says the Dragon Mother is almost defeated, and wonders if the warriors have already dealt with the dragons and goblins. Suddenly, a huge explosion shakes the wall, creating chaos in the city. This catches the attention of both the Sword Saint and the Dragon Mother. The Dragon Mother, realizing the goblins are here, sees an opportunity to escape. As she flees, she tells the Sword Saint that once she recovers, she won't forgive her. The Sword Saint, filled with anger for letting the beast get away, vows to go to Dragon Island and destroy them all one day. Once the battle dies down, the Sword Saint returns to the ground, frustrated. She is angry to learn that Loder and his group couldn't even defeat simple goblins. One of the warriors informs her that Loder and Ephraia have been captured by the goblins. The Sword Saint can't believe it. A member of Loder's team tells her that these goblins are no ordinary monsters. They are as strong as the great races, and even Loder couldn't defeat them. Furious and determined to save her warriors, the Sword Saint declares that she will go to the enchanted forest to wipe out the goblins. But before she can leave, a local resident grabs her arm, begging her to stay in the city. The resident warns that if the dragons or the goblins return, the city will fall. The people around her begin to beg as well, saying they are citizens of the temple and the empire, and they need her protection. The Sword Saint agrees to stay and protect the people. She realizes her true responsibility lies with the citizens, not with hunting goblins. Back at the Goblin village, everyone is celebrating because Lin Tian has returned, bringing prisoners. The goblins are shocked to see human prisoners, especially elves, caught by the goblins. Without mercy, Lin Tian throws Ephraia to the ground. One of Lin Tian's soldiers orders the prisoners not to cause any trouble. Loder is surprised to see that the goblins captured several elves. Ephraia mentions that there might be a hero in this tribe. Loder asks if she has recovered, and she answers that the poison is strong, but will soon be out of her body due to her sacred constitution. When Lin Tian hears her talk about her powers, he sneaks up on her, mocking her for recovering so quickly. Ephraia asks desperately how Lin Tian knows her name and what his intentions are. With dark hatred in his eyes, Lin Tian moves toward her. He digs his claws into her thigh, and she screams in pain. Loder yells at Lin Tian to stop, but when he tries to protect his companion, a goblin strikes him down. Furious, Loder warns Lin Tian that the Sword Saint will find them and destroy them. Lin Tian remains confident. He says that the Sword Saint will also become his prey soon, and she'll never find them, even if she tries. As part of his plan, Lin Tian tells the goblins that they are responsible for the second generation and orders them to go into the forest to hunt. Hurts terribly. He says everything they do is to protect the human race, and they must exterminate goblins because they are cursed creatures. Lin Tian sarcastically mocks Loder's words, saying they probably hunt goblins to increase their hero group stats. He knows them well. Lin Tian asks how many humans have died because of their so-called justice. Loder is shocked by the accusations. Even Freya is stunned, wondering how a simple goblin knows so much about what they do. Lin Tian, filled with hatred, tells them that he doesn't need to pretend. Unlike them, he's an evil creature, and he will teach them a lesson. Freya begs Loder to save her, pleading for mercy. Loder watches in despair, unable to help her. Lin Tian grabs Freya by the neck and mocks her, telling her that the lesson is just beginning. He tells her to hold on tight, and then he hands her over to the goblins, ordering them to torture her. Loder is in shock, realizing he will be forced to watch his companion suffer. As the goblins approach Freya, Lin Tian watches coldly, knowing that his revenge is just beginning. A goblin arrives and tells another that it's now his turn to guard the prisoner. The goblin who was guarding Freya says that Lin Tian ordered her to stay alive. We see how weak Freya has become from all the torture. The guard says she's still fine, just as ordered. Loder tells Freya to hold on, and although very weak, she tells him not to worry, because she's not suffering. The guard gets angry and tells Freya she has no right to speak. He presses her head down with his foot. Meanwhile, the Queen of the Elves, while taking care of her baby, asks her daughter if Lin Tian really hates humans. The daughter says they are in trouble because Lin Tian does indeed hold a grudge against humans. Yue, the elf, arrives and tells the queen that Lin Tian already said he would take revenge on humans. The queen is fascinated by Lin Tian. She says he is the most special goblin she has ever seen, impressed by his determination. She believes that he never forgets an offense, which is why he stands out. The queen blushes, feeling strangely drawn to him, as if she wanted to be conquered by him. Meanwhile, in another area, a goblin speaks to Lin Tian. He tells him that the second-generation elves who went hunting have returned earlier than expected, carrying a lot of prey. The goblin says they're level 33, and their power is almost as great as Lin Tian's. Lin Tian is impressed and asks why they returned so early. The goblin explains that they killed all the monsters nearby, but found goblins massacring other tribes in the western forest. The goblin says the tribe they found was the Blood Fang tribe. Lin Tian is interested, thinking that capturing their leader would be helpful for their plans against humans. The captured captain laughs, calling the goblins fools, and saying that they'll be defeated by knights. Lin Tian tells the goblin that he wouldn't even have remembered humans if the captain hadn't mentioned them. As the goblins approach the captain, Lin Tian adds that there's still another human there. The captain panics and asks what they're planning. A goblin grabs the human's face, saying that it's finally his turn, and remarks how soft human skin is. The captain is desperate, while Freya remains silent, forced to watch everything unfold. A few hours later, the captain is lying exhausted, nearly unconscious. Night falls, and a goblin asks Lin Tian if they're going to attack the Bloodfang tribe. Lin Tian confirms that they will capture their leader, and even gives the tribe a new name, Tian Quang Tribe. The goblins celebrate, chanting the new tribe name, calling Lin Tian powerful. An elf comments that the goblins must be very strong, since they've defeated so many tribes. Lin Tian, however, is calm. He says he's confident, and he still has a trump card that he hasn't used yet. At that moment, we see Freya tied up and nearly fully unclothed. The next day, Lin Tian watches from a high vantage point, able to see everything clearly. It's time to see the goblin's power. He's aiming at the Bloodfang tribe in the Enchanted Forest. There are many large goblins, but Lin Tian thinks he can deal with them. He sees the leader approaching, and it's clear that the goblins are off-rid. The leader of the Bloodfang tribe is revealed to be a goblin hero. Lin Tian looks at the goblin leader and realizes he isn't that strong. His combat power is only 900, so a dozen goblins could defeat him, but capturing him alive would be difficult. The paralyzing poison wouldn't work well on such a big enemy, so he needs a different plan. He wonders if he can use the same imprisonment magic that Ephraia once used on him. With that thought, he decides to go see her. Back at the Tien Quang tribe, a goblin approaches Lin Tien and reports that he did as ordered. The human is almost finished. Lin Tien praises the goblin for a job well done. Ephraia, weak and in pain, begs to be freed, saying she will redeem herself before her lord. Lin Tien gently wipes her wounds with a warm cloth. Ephraia asks who he is, but she doesn't turn around. When she finally looks and sees Lin Tien, she starts screaming in terror. Trembling, she yells that he's a demon and that she can't take any more pain. Lin Tien slaps her lightly, then pulls her into a hug, telling her that the punishment is over. She starts crying and asks if it's really true. He reassures her, saying that he always keeps his word, but now she has to make a choice. Confused, Ephraia asks what choice he means. Lin Tien tells her she must decide. Will she believe in God or will she believe in him? If she chooses him, she will be his pet and escape her suffering forever. As he strokes her head, Ephraia trembles. After a moment, she takes a deep breath and slowly starts licking his fingers. Pleased, Lin Tien gently touches her face and says, "Very good, Ephraia. From now on, he will be her only master, and she will be his little pet." Ephraia gets down on all fours, barking and calling Lin Tien her master. He picks her up and carries her to a hot spring. There, he removes her tattered clothes and bathes her. Feeling warmth and comfort, Ephraia tells him she will do anything for him because he is kind to her. Lin Tien smiles and says, "That's perfect," as he continues bathing her. Afterward, Lin Tien tells Ephraia to show him her holy light prison ability. She doesn't seem to understand at first, so he hands her a book. After looking through it, she realizes what he means. Ephraia focuses, starts praying, and her body begins to levitate slightly. Then, a massive prison made of holy light appears before her. Lin Tien is impressed by her power. As they walk past the tribe's prison, Loder, who is locked inside, senses them and starts shouting. He tells Ephraia to attack Lin Tien and heal his injuries, but Lin Tien calmly tells him that Ephraia surrendered to him willingly. Loder refuses to believe it. She is the daughter of the Holy Church's leader and would never give in so easily. To prove her loyalty, Lin Tien commands Ephraia to kneel. Without hesitation, she obeys, smiling up at him. Loder is in shock. His face twists in anger as he grips the prison bars. He yells that Lin Tien's actions will bring doom to the goblin race. He claims that goblins only exist to be exterminated by humans, and that the Holy Church will wipe them all out. Lin Tien is surprised by Ephraya's true identity, but he thanks Loder for the information. He then orders the goblins to cause trouble for him and tells Ephraia it's time to leave. They're heading to the Bloodfang tribe, and Lin Tien says they'll take control of it. At the Bloodfang tribe's hideout, a goblin tells the chief that everything is ready. The chief stands up and says they'll attack the tribe to the south, capture all the elves, and have fun with them. The goblins get excited, cheering for their chief's power. But someone shouts that a goblin has invaded their tribe and is looking for the chief. The chief asks where this goblin came from. Lin Tien steps forward and says he's a heroic level Bloodfang goblin with intelligence similar to humans, and he's here to talk to the chief. Some goblins ask if he's a mutant or die. The chief asks if Lin Tien is the head of the tribe that breeds elves. Lin Tien proudly says his genes are good and invites the chief to join him. The hero goblin calls him an idiot, shouting for him to shut up. The chief grabs Lin Tien's head with one hand and lifts him off the ground, saying that once he's finished with Lin Tien, the tribe will be his. The goblins chant, excited to see their chief crush Lin Tien, but Lin Tien calmly says the conversation is pointless. He could have killed the chief already if he didn't want him alive. With a quick somersault strike, Lin Tian cuts off the goblin's hand. The chief cries out in pain, falling to the ground and ordering his followers to destroy Lin Tian. The goblins charge at him to avenge their chief, but Lin Tian snaps his fingers, commanding them to stop. Suddenly, a knife pierces the chest of a blood-fang goblin. Goblins from the Tianquang tribe appear, using their invisibility ability. The enemy asks how this is possible without hearing any sound. It's thanks to the silent step skill, and orders his goblins to destroy all the Bloodfang goblins. As per Lin Tian's orders, the Bloodfang goblins panic. Several warrior goblins have appeared, and Lin Tian has trapped them all. The chief, realizing he's been tricked, tries to escape, yelling that he needs to kill Lin Tian first. He charges forward to punch Lin Tian, but Lin Tian stands calmly with his arms crossed and simply says, Ifreya's name. At that moment, Ifreya starts casting the sacred light prison. A glowing cage appears, trapping the goblin hero. The chief is confused and shocked. He didn't expect to be caught by a light magic spell. Goblins can't use light magic. In his rage, the chief watches in disbelief as Ifreya kneels at Lin Tian's feet, calling him Master. Lin Tian praises her for being a good girl and growing stronger since joining him. Ifreya smiles and thanks him. Time passes, and the goblin hero is chained with light magic, still calling Lin Tian a scoundrel. Lin Tian tells him to be a good breeder,